The growing demand for data centers that power AI acceleration are becoming unsustainable from problems that don't have easy fixes. Mega data centers like xAI's Colossus need massive amounts of water and energy, oftentimes more than what's currently available in the local area, forcing xAI, for example, to resort to burning coal in order to power the training and operations of Grok for everyone to use. Communities near data centers like these do not have a good time. There's a darker side to AI acceleration, and it must be addressed because we're currently in a landscape where we're moving towards a brick wall where AI progress is going to be capped due to lack of energy resources to power this progress, while at the same time, we're putting the interests of everyday people on the opposite side of these AI data centers that were supposed to change all of our lives for the better, not give us black lung. So I want to explore today, from an AKT holder's perspective, how Akash Network is positioned to be a contributor to the solution, how the AKT ecosystem has managed to attract a large majority of these decentralized AI researchers and leading platforms to build on top of it, and why this is the path forward to both the energy and AI adoption challenges that lie ahead. Let's set our stage by quickly going through how centralized and decentralized AI work conceptually. The mindset behind centralized AI model training is to pull all the data together in order to pre-train the models on racks of GPUs inside centralized data centers, owned usually by a central entity that has full control over the inputs of what the data the models will train on, and after it's done training, the models are then made available for consumption. So this is how our Grok 3s and O3s and Llama 3s, they were all pre-trained on data that their respective organizations collected before the model was then made available for us to use. Decentralized AI, on the other hand, distributes the roles across multiple entities with the data it collects, the GPU compute used to do the training, and the decision making on what data the model is ultimately going to be trained on. DAI usually uses blockchain technology for the coordination and the incentivization of the decentralized masses, which is basically you and me. So in this format, it opens a whole box of benefits, and I will highlight the best of them. But focusing just on the energy dead end for AI progress for just a second, the biggest benefit to decentralized AI is that it distributes the power requirements across the globe rather than require all of the energy and water come solely from one place at the expense of towns nearby data centers as we have it today. So the way it's looking today is that the growth of energy needs for continued AI progress is set to increase significantly over the next few years, with McKinsey estimating our requirements in 5 years will be almost 3 times what we're already seeing today. And what we're already seeing today is data centers being capped by lack of energy available, prompting some to look into restarting nuclear power plants or building new ones. Even the US power grid is not building capacity and transmission fast enough to meet its own stated goals at a time that energy requirements are far outpacing their wildest expectations due to AI. According to McKinsey, in 2023, a single data center can use as much as 80,000 US homes. Today, Epoch AI research puts that number closer to 250,000 homes. So the energy grid planners across the world could not have foreseen the needs rise this fast, and many of these power infrastructure projects won't be able to come online fast enough to keep up with the pace of compute demand driven by all of this AI development and usage. So what do? Well, we should continue to invest and build new energy infrastructure to take us to new heights, but while we wait the years that it takes to do that to move forward, we should use what we have now more efficiently to get the most out of it. And this is where the research and the work of those in the decentralized AI field start to gain attention and show promise as a way forward. If we could distribute the model training energy needs across multiple locations where energy is still abundant and cheap, we can continue the AI progress where the energy capped data centers will ultimately drop off. Now, a distributed model training was not a reality a year ago. It was just an idea, a science fiction concept. But today, we're seeing the birth and acceleration growth of something real special in this space, especially with the work that Prime Intellect is doing. Through their model, Intellect 1, they were able to successfully train a 10 billion parameter model with GPU resources distributed around the world. This proved that model training is no longer reserved just for those giant data centers owned by billionaires, able to get their land rights, the energy rights, the water rights, but that we, the people, with each other's compute, with each other's data, can benefit financially from it together as well. Prime Intellect unites all the essential stakeholders to create a functional model and rewards ownership to encourage its development. So recently, Prime Intellect just completed Intellect 2, the world's first 32 billion parameter model trained on distributed GPUs. Now, I'm not ready to say that these models compete with the best of the state-of-the-art models out there. What I am saying is that the technology stack and rails to go beyond the energy-capped, centralized data center way of training models is not science fiction, it's a reality. And it's in a position to take over centralized AI with a fairer set of benefits and principles that come just with the way that it works. The centralization brings many benefits, but I'll go over 3 other relevant ones beyond the energy limitations as to why decentralized AI adoption is highly likely, maybe even inevitable. So the first fundamental reason will be the data privacy controls that decentralized AI allows. Instead of having to have all of our data sucked up into one centralized place where they might lose it or leak it, as if that's never happened before, you can keep it local and control exactly what you want to share because you are the source controlling what data goes through. My favorite example is with healthcare. A centralized healthcare model that has everybody's information would be a very powerful tool, but also extremely illegal as private healthcare data is private and protected for good reasons. In a decentralized training model, however, we can ensure that the confidential data stays local while still sharing approved data that can be sent outward, scrubbed from any personal data. So in this case, our local data should stay local within the hospital, which is already keeping all of the medical information for your care, but that hospital could then share the appropriate data that has been scrubbed of your private data with a larger national healthcare model. The larger centralized healthcare model will then have our latest and greatest from hospitals all around the country without the personal data attached, and then can then be used to make a better model which the local hospital AIs can then access for better patient care. So this need for data privacy is very appropriate here, but it's also appropriate for governments as well, which probably wouldn't want you to be able to access the same AI that's trained on top of their top secret data. So it makes sense to have separate models with specific access to specific information. Fundamentally, in real life, we already naturally see the problems of just having one centralized God model, and also see clearly the use case for decentralized models to coexist. Adjacent to data privacy is decentralized AI's natural safeguards against undue influence, control, and surveillance. In a centralized system, one entity makes the decisions as to what data is good data to train the AI on, leading to instances where an AI model is not entirely truthful or is biased in some way. Decentralized AI allows for more coordination and consensus than when only one entity is the sole arbiter of truth, which can be influenced by government or other self-interested motivations. Not very censorship resistant at all. Then there's the fact that centralized chat models like ChatGPT, Grok, and others keep your prompts, read through them, and train on them. This fact isn't much publicized because that's like Google being able to comb through your search history, something you probably wouldn't want there. So why would you want that here? I'll go through some of the top chat LLM policies for us to see exactly what we're working with. So this is what's out there for us if we only go towards centralized AI. Decentralized AI philosophies differ, and I strongly suggest you throw your support on the side that won't spy on your data, won't spy on your chats with their models. Venice AI, for example, has a completely different style of privacy objectives for your data. They say that the only way to achieve reasonable user privacy is to avoid collecting this information in the first place. So Venice ensures that your prompts remain completely local, embodying decentralized AI benefits. You don't have to look over your shoulder, or you can breathe easy because you don't have to worry about surveillance or others trying to retain your data. You can count on Venice's suite of open source models available, many of which is hosted on Akash Network's GPUs, to provide this service for you around the world. If all of that stuff doesn't get you going for decentralized AI, can I convince you with a fair compensation for your data? How about a fair financial distribution of the economic value that these models will generate? Whole new ecosystems will be propped up along with new opportunities. You might be collecting real-time data as part of Sentinel Scout's data hunters, incentivized to provide real-time information to LLMs and agents because they don't have any real eyes and ears. So Sentinel Scout's data layer will have human scouts verify or supply whatever data set that's beyond an LLM or agent's reach. Sentinel Scout taps into Akash Network's chat API to help their data gatherers find the right info at the start of the process, but they also leverage Akash's compute to help clean and process and label the data before delivering the jobs for final delivery as well. Or maybe you're contributing your own specialized data towards training the next specialized model on prime intellect. They might be making a construction AI and you've got years of experience and data to give in exchange for partial ownership of the future earnings of this construction model. Imagine this model can be updated as more people contribute, making it more and more useful over time, reinforcing itself with new knowledge. As it becomes the best construction AI model for homeowners and home builders everywhere, payment is returned to those that contributed to making it the best in the first place. So even if you don't have any construction expertise, you may be able to contribute GPU compute to train these models for ownership. With Prime Intellect, you wouldn't even need to own your GPUs at home, as Prime Intellect is already integrated with the Akash network, allowing anyone to leverage any of Akash's GPUs to train models for ownership opportunities. The alternative to this is Uncle Sam Altman can just hoover up all of your data and pay you nothing for it and keep all of the money from the subscriptions to themselves. It's an easy choice if you ask me between centralized and decentralized AI. So to me, decentralized AI isn't just the future, it's the fix that we need today. It safeguards our data, shares economic rewards fairly, and frees us from centralized control and surveillance. Decentralized AI platforms like Sentinel Scout, Decentralized Data Gathering, Venice AI's Decentralized Model Serving, Prime Intellect's Decentralized Model Training, and more are already making it real, and they are by a large percent integrated into Akash Network one way or another. So why is that? What makes Akash so special for decentralized AI? It comes down to the very things that make Akash unique. Akash is an automated marketplace for compute resources. It's a permissionless marketplace, which means anyone can bring their compute on and anyone can go on to buy compute as long as they have AKT. These resources include GPUs, CPUs, storage, RAM, IP address, a whole suite of things because Akash is a full stack decentralized supercloud. When it comes to platforms that are building the future protocols to power AI, it's good to know that all of their access to Akash's marketplace cannot be shut off because Akash is permissionless. Akash is also open source and openly developed, which aligns very well with a lot of the values shared by other decentralized startups. Everything is transparently done on chain, so developers can trust Akash as a base layer for their stack. Don't see something you need on the network? You can build it yourself and add it on. No, seriously, this is the only place where you can do that.
We as open source builders believe in building on foundations laid by previous generation. Like you build on top of Akash. If there's a piece that's missing, you put that piece and build on top of Akash. And if Akash can't really solve being open source, you can contribute the code to Akash, right? And there's also incentives. There's a whole lot of like infrastructure behind Akash that you get paid for. So you just don't have to do for free or because you feel good about it, right? So,
and here we see Doors trying to do the same thing right now for TEE. TEE is a whole different video coming up, but here it is. Akash didn't have it, and these guys are submitting a proposal to build it for themselves and to the benefit of everyone else after. The best part, Akash even has public funds to actually pay for this work, so the improvement of the network isn't done solely out of charity. So permissionless, check. Open source and configurable by the public, check. Then let's talk about Akash's full stack capabilities. Akash is not an AI company, it's a compute marketplace, and it is a decentralized supercloud, which supports AI in all of its forms. Looking back at the entire DeAI stack, we can find Akash everywhere. Here's where all of the examples I listed today within Akash's decentralized AI ecosystem and where they fit into the stack. Akash is the decentralized compute supporting Sentinel in their data gathering and labeling. In the model training, Akash supports Prime Intellect, Noose Research, and others. Verification, Akash is still working on implementing TEE. It's on the roadmap, which would unlock a lot more AI applications to be hosted on Akash. On the inference side, Akash supports Venice AI, which is a consumer-facing app. With AI agents, Akash also supports agent frameworks too, with model inference for ELIZA and integration into Morpheus AI's compute marketplace. All that I've mentioned are open source protocols leveraging open source Akash. What I'm seeing is an ecosystem forming where we see massive synergies between all of these open source protocols interconnecting and working with each other to push the frontier of decentralized AI. I think Morpheus contributor David Johnson said it best when he was explaining the smart agent stack and how all of these things work together.
Somebody in the community created this really cool image of the decentralized stack. And it for the first time, I thought sort of captured, that these aren't competing projects, they're complementary, right? You have BitTensor and Noose creating models. You have them running on Akash GPUs. You have Morpheus matching that with demand from somebody like Venice, who's interacting with the user, who is actually, connected to a wallet, let's say on Coinbase.
So all of which is to say that Akash is already integrated with the best across the DAI stack. AI progress for humanity is hyped to be world-altering, and so it should be built on top of open and permissionless infrastructure like Akash. That way, access to the benefits of intelligence is guaranteed to everyone. Akash has been positioning itself with the decentralized AI startups since the inception of their GPU marketplace last year. That positioning is going to pay off as we move forward through the AI development cycle and more of these decentralized AI startups start to flex the utility of the solutions that they've been working on. Thanks so much for hearing me out. I hope this was helpful enough for a like, a follow, and maybe even a share. And I'll see you next time for more Holder's Perspective.